Sports Stars YouTube page. Click subscribe. You can comment along to the show. You can get at me on Twitter at I am Pledger or at SA Sports Star. And of course, you can always call or text us at 656 ESPN. That is 210 656 3776. It was a great interview earlier today with Troy Aikman on the Blitz, and I suggest when you get a chance, you go back and listen to it in its entirety. I'll have it up on the website almost immediately after Extra Innings. What I'm going to do is I am going to get not only the interview up on our website at sasportstar.com, I'm going to have the video up there as well. You get to see the video, and as Jason and Joe are reacting to the questions asked in the Tastic, they had a bunch of questions for him to whether it's time for Dak to put up or shut up, if this is the easiest route that the Cowboys could possibly have, seeing as the bulk of the competition seems to be out in the AFC, to where in the NFC, the only real legitimate threats to the Cowboys seriously seem to be the Eagles and the 49ers. And this being probably the easiest path to them to make it to an at least NFC title game this year. So they asked a bunch of really great questions. But one of the biggest questions that I thought, because this whole offseason to me, when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, comes down to one question. You had one of the top offenses in the league the last 3 years with Kellen Moore. It was number 1 overall. It was number 10 overall. They have been fantastic, and they have run the ball exceptionally well as well during that time period. This past season being, I think, their most effective year running the ball, because they finally seem to have turned the keys over to Tony Pollard. But Mike McCarthy taking over the offense, getting rid of Kellen Moore, I think those are massive, massive question marks. Everything else about this Cowboys offseason is a home run. You look at the addition of Stephon Gilmore, Brandon Cooks, bringing back Leighton Vander Esch, bringing back Donovan Wilson. Like, everything they have done, even the Mozzie Smith pick at the end of the first round, just home run, home run, home run. Brandon Cooks, home run. You wonder how they're going to be at tight end, but with the plethora of weapons they have at receiver, I don't know how instrumental the tight end has to be in this offense, or if it needs to be more of a release valve and blocking requirement. The offensive line, look, when Tyron's healthy, Tyron's one of the best in the game. Tyron Smith. Tyler Smith proved he can fill in when he needs to. If, or as Jason likes to say, when Tyron gets hurt. If not, left guard, he's going to be just fine there too. You get Terrence Steele coming back at right tackle. Zach Martin. You have to start asking the question if Zach Martin is the best person to ever wear a Cowboys uniform to play his position, if he's played it at the highest level of any Cowboy player ever. Because the dude just doesn't lose. He doesn't lose one-on-one matchups. He doesn't lose individual. He is consistently an all-pro every year in perpetuity, and considered as one of the greatest guards that have ever laced him up. So you have to start thinking of Zach Martin in, is he the best player position specific to have ever played for the Dallas Cowboys? And I know Roger Staubach, I know Troy Aikman, I know Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin, but you look at Deion Sanders, and it wasn't that much in terms of length of time as a Dallas Cowboy. But the biggest question revolves around, after all of those great offseason moves, the one offseason move that we can't truly quantify yet, which is Mike McCarthy taking over the play calling. And I thought this answer from Troy Aikman earlier today on the Blitz was just enlightening in terms of what we're expecting out of him this year.
Well, I don't think the bar can be set too high. I feel like Kellen Moore did a really good job as offensive coordinator. He had a great relationship with Dak Prescott. He was a teammate of his when Dak first came into the league, and then clearly became his coach and offensive coordinator. I was surprised when Mike took the job in Dallas that he did not take on the play calling at that time, but I think it was a good decision, wanting to keep some continuity with what Dak was doing offensively and kept Kellen Moore as the coordinator. But I know he enjoyed play calling when he was in Green Bay, and they had some prolific two Hall of Fame quarterbacks with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers while he was coaching there as well. But those are fairly big shoes that he's stepping into with the job that Kellen did, and maybe the lack of success in the postseason is why the change was made and why Mike then wanted to have more of his fingerprints on this offense. But he understands that at the end of the day, it doesn't much matter, and we've known this for a while of what they're able to do in the regular season. It's what happens in the postseason, and that's when Mike's going to be judged as to what he's able to do offensively and how good this team can be.
That was Troy Aikman earlier today on the Blitz, an interview that you can catch on sasportstar.com here momentarily. But I heard that, and I had to get Joe Reinagle on his drive home to call into the show to talk about this with me, because this is the biggest question I have about the Dallas Cowboys. Everything else I think they've done has been phenomenal this offseason, but I question moving on from an offensive coordinator that is perpetually in the top 10 every year he's led this offense and had a number one ranked offense.
Pledge, I think you'd be absolutely correct. And I would agree with you 100% had they had more playoff success. And I think Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat. And I think having said that, knowing that if he's going to go down, he wants to go down his way. And I think all of those things, not to mention some internal stuff that McCarthy has actually said on a podium that, that Kellen was about scoring 50 points and I'm about ball control and helping out the defense. So I just think a difference of philosophy, and it's just one of those things that I think he told Jerry, look, I want to take this over, and Jerry said, okay.
Is it about controlling the offense, though, or running the ball more, or any of the things that he's seemingly said this offseason? Because I look at Mike McCarthy and I'm a huge proponent of, you kind of are who you've shown us you are, right? And in Mike McCarthy's tenure, his teams, sans 1 or 2 years, the year they won a Super Bowl, have been A, heavily penalized, and B, offensively, especially late in the years in Green Bay, 2015, 16, 17, and 18, at least 18, 17, and 16, those final 3 years, he ran it the 3 of the 4 final years of his tenure in Green Bay were 3 of the least amount of rush attempts he ever had in a season. And in terms of total offense, 17, 15, 2006, his first year with the team. Like, other than that, in his final 3-4 years, 3 of those seasons were 3 of the worst offensive producing teams he's ever had. And so I look at the totality of Mike McCarthy's offense, and we love to glorify it because he had Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre in their primes. But the things went backwards towards the end, and then he takes 2 years off of football and comes back and he's not even calling the plays. I don't know how easy it's going to be for him to get back into the flow of calling plays, or even how much he's willing to have upgraded his play calling since then.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of a head coach being a play caller anyway. And I know he's got Schottenheimer there, and I get that, but he's more of a figurehead than really a true offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if McCarthy had problems with what Kellen Moore was doing, he's the head coach. He should have gotten on the headset or in meetings or whatever and said, look, we're going to do this. And let's change this. Let's try this. And if he did that and, Kellen Moore just, went rogue on him, then okay, I get it. But I don't think that was the case. It's almost like once the game started, Kellen Moore was in charge of the offense. McCarthy just sat there and did nothing. And for me, it's a derelict of duty, right? I mean, he's got to take care of that, and he's got to be the man in charge. And it just doesn't seem like he was. And for whatever reason, I think now he thinks he's in control when he should have been in control the entire time. So a lot of it doesn't make any sense. I'm excited to see what Kellen Moore's going to do in San Diego.
Yes.
I think they're going to score a bazillion points in Los Angeles with the Chargers.
And I'm glad you brought that up because there could be – look, when McCarthy came in, we all kind of thought that he was saddled with Kellen Moore and that Jerry said, this is going to be your offensive coordinator. This is kind of my project. I brought him up. I brought him from a player to a quarterback's coach to an offensive coordinator to a play caller. And I have been grooming this guy kind of the way I did Jason Garrett in a sense, in terms of being a future head coach in this league and possibly of this team. Do you think Jerry will regret having listened to Mike McCarthy and having him kick Kellen Moore out the door if he does that, not only in Los Angeles for the Chargers, where he's going to have a very hands-off coach and Brandon Staley, who is a defensive guy and will leave him alone, plus all those weapons. But if he succeeds as well, on top of that, it kind of feels like the one who may have gotten away for Jerry, kind of in the same vein as Sean Payton. And we know all of the talk that happened once he kind of came out of retirement this past off season.
Well, I mean, I think it depends on what happens with the Cowboys. Look, if the Cowboys are playing the Chargers in the Super Bowl, I don't think Jerry will give a damn, right? Win, lose, or draw, because McCarthy got him there. So I think in that respect, I don't think he would. Now, if the Chargers go on and make a deep playoff run and the Cowboys don't, then yeah, I think there'll be some regrets there. But again, I fault McCarthy for this, even if it was Jerry Jones saying, look, I want to stay with Kellen Moore, or whatever he was saying, and obviously we're speculating, but look, McCarthy has got the resume to be able to go to Jerry and say, look, if you don't want me to do it my way, then hire somebody else. I can't imagine Mike McCarthy being that desperate to be the head.
That was Joe Ryan.
Whatever you say.
As Joe Ryan going to the Blitz. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, sorry. Am I going in and out?
You dropped for just a hair second there.
I just think, look, I put the responsibility on Mike McCarthy. If he wasn't happy with Kellen Moore, he should have said so. Mm-hmm. Even if Jerry would have said, well, it's either Kellen or you, McCarthy's got the resume to do that, and he should have done it if that was the case. Now it's his ball, and he's got to deal with it.
That is Joe Ryan. Catch him weekdays on the Blitz from 2 to 6 right here on San Antonio Sports Star. Thank you so much for your time, Joe.
Thanks, Pledge.
Look, we have a ton to get into when it comes to the Cowboys and their offense. We're a month away from Oxnard with Cowboys training camp starting. And there's a whole lot to unpack when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, because I do believe this is the year where everything is set up perfectly. As Rudolph Gonzalez says on our YouTube live feed, Mike wasn't trying to be in the way. He took control. I'm not sold on Moore like y'all are sold on Mike. And that's fair. I mean, Kellen Moore, he had great regular season success, but did not show up in the postseason. Is that on Kellen Moore and his play calling? Is that on Dak Prescott playing quarterback? Those questions will likely come answered here very shortly in the coming season. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger, getting you ready for Rangers and Tigers coming up at the bottom of the hour. Plus, we'll pour one out the door on my way out, and your phone calls right here at 656 ESPN 656 3776.
It's R&R in the morning.
Wednesday on R&R in the morning. Now that we know the sheer magnitude of how big the FIBA World Cup is, would we be angry if Wemby changed his mind in the fourth quarter and decided to play for the French national team?
Free agency is just days away. Will the Spurs play into it? We'll talk Cowboys for sure. Let's look at the underappreciated guys that have to perform.
It's your wake-up call. R&R in the morning, 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Hi there, I'm Dwayne Charping, owner of Roof Fix. We understand how stressful it is dealing with storm damage. That's why we're offering a special deductible relief program that gives you instant rebates up to $2,500. Plus, relief program also includes 0 down, 0 interest, 0 payments for 6 months with approved credit.
Call RoofFix today at 210-FIX-ROOF or visit their website at rooffixsa.com. RoofFix,
home of the low price guarantee.
Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds are one of the boldest, protein-packed and low-carb snacks out there. And with flavors that will have you craving for more, you'll want to stock up on Southern Recipe small batch at your local H-E-B. Pick up your favorite flavors of Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds today. Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds. Be big, be bold, be adventurous. Find your flavor at southernrecipesmallbatch.com.
Southern Recipe pork rinds.
Response to Diamonds Direct's amazing finance offer has been off the charts, so we're extending it through this Saturday. You can go into the holiday weekend with some new bling and spread your payments over as long as 5 years with special financing, or save up to $5,000 on the spot. It's our best finance offer ever and our most aggressive pricing. Fine jewelry has never been more affordable, but this amazing offer ends this Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Details and more at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
My name is Jessica. Years ago, I was diagnosed with a thyroid condition. I slept all the time, was fatigued, had no energy, and a bad attitude. Now I've lost 50 pounds and I'm still losing. My medications have been scaled back, my emotions are stable, and I have lots of energy. People at work say I'm happy, perky, and my husband says he's not walking on eggshells around me any longer. The Institute for Functional Health changed my life.
Call for your complimentary consultation, 210-468-1891. I'm Dr. Torres at the Institute for Functional Health.
Car wrecks can wreck your life and leave you with medical bills, lost wages, and lasting pain. That's why you should call Hilly and Solis. Hilly and Solis are former prosecutors that know how to fight and know how to win. Contact them at 210-762-6261.
Principal office in San Antonio, Texas. Message brought to you by a non-attorney spokesperson.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, drive, weight, hair loss, and even ED. Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your T level for free. For your free T level check, exam, and consultation, call 210-615-7777 or visit revivemenshealth.com.
The Rangers and Tigers play Game 2 of their 4-game series tonight at Globe Life Field. Hi, everybody. This is Matt Hicks, inviting you to join Jared Sandler, Chris Blake, and me. Our coverage of tonight's game begins at 6:30
on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Of course, you can always be a part of the show, whether following on our YouTube channel at SA Sports Star, subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and you can comment along with the show like our good friend Rudolph Gonzalez did, saying, what if the Cowboys had the number one offense in spite of Kellen Moore? And maybe they did. Maybe all that talent surrounding them for all these years in which we always said Dak needed more weapons around him, maybe he had all those weapons around him this entire time, and that's why they have one of the best offenses in the league. I like to give people their flowers when they're due, and Mike McCarthy was a great head coach for a long period of time with two of the best quarterbacks to have ever played the game in Green Bay. Things went south the final 3 to 4 years, which is the reason that he was fired. Everybody gets fired for some reason. Sometimes a change of scenery is needed, messages get stale, and it's just time to move on. Hopefully that is the case for Mike McCarthy, He has done fantastic things in Dallas. He has won back-to-back 12-game seasons. His first year, he had to deal with COVID and Dak breaking his leg, so things didn't go swimmingly his first year. But at the same time, he has rebounded, rallied past that. He has taken, and if we're going to do this, the way Pop says, you don't skip steps. Well, they had a very difficult first season under him with COVID and Dak breaking his leg and the injuries to the offensive line and no consistency up there. He goes from that 5 to 6 win team, goes and wins 12 games, wins the division, comes back the next year, wins another 12 games after being bounced in the first round the previous year, wins a playoff game, gets into the divisional round this time to where they do get to take on, after getting a playoff win, McCarthy's first playoff win in Dallas. And then this year, maybe he gets that second one. The Cowboys were winners up until Tony Pollard got hurt. Now, is that on Kellen Moore? Maybe, maybe not, but things were going well. Things seem to have changed and shifted once Tony Pollard's injury occurred, as there was no real depth behind him. But maybe that's something they should look at, as there is a Dalvin Cook who has received multiple offers on the market.
Pour me, pour me, pour me, pour me.
And as we pour one out the door, look, you've got to give the Dallas Cowboys their flowers. I have one burning question. It is Mike McCarthy calling plays while being the head coach. That is my one burning question. Other than that, you give them an A++++ for the rest of their offseason for the most part. They have done a fantastic job at every turn, from retaining Dan Quinn to bringing back Leighton Vander Esch to re-signing Donovan Wilson to adding Stephon Gilmore. And it's not just the fact that they added Stephon Gilmore, who is still a top 5 cornerback in the league when healthy, as he was fully recovered from his injuries finally after a year in Carolina, showed well, but just happened to be on a bad team in Indianapolis. You compound that with going out and getting that number 2 receiver that Dak was missing this past season by all accounts. And on top of that, everybody keeps talking about his speed. And as a Houston Texans fan, I know very well about Brandon Cooks and his speed and what he brings to a team. He is a great complement to a CeeDee Lamb. You allow Michael Gallup to play out of the slot now, or even CeeDee Lamb, and move him into the slot. You've got so much versatility. The only question I have outside of Mike McCarthy is, what are you doing at backup running back? But once again, the offseason isn't done for the Dallas Cowboys. There could be a move with a Dalvin Cook or bringing back a Zeke Elliott to handle short yardage situations. But I feel comfortable with Tony Pollard as the number 1 back of the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people have a lot more faith in Malik Davis than I do, but just because I haven't seen it out of Malik Davis. We got Rangers coming up next right here on San Antonio Sports Star as they get set to take on the Detroit Tigers live from Globe Life Field. The Rangers right now currently only 5 games up on both the Astros and the Angels, who are making a surge right now. This has been Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM and SASportsStar.com.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments